So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make your own board oil. This is a competition right here. Take a note at the prices of some of these. If you remember, I paid less than $5 each for these at Walmart. Now that I know what ingredients go into this product, I'm actually shocked at how much a lot of these companies are selling it for. They're buying this mineral oil for cheaper than I am, I would hope. And same with the wax. And if I can make this for $5.50, that much finished oil, to buy that on Amazon costs this much, which is crazy to me. They must be making a fortune. They're probably making it for $3 a bottle, I'm sure. So this is actually a laxative. It's for relief of occasional constipation. And yes, it's a little bit awkward taking everything they have on the shelf. The lady standing next to me gave me a weird look, but it's not the first time I've got a weird look, so we can deal with that. But anyway, so there's really two ingredients, and it's as simple as that. From my research, this is pretty much the same formula for most products. It's a combination of mineral oil and beeswax. So because these two ingredients are edible and food safe, it makes the product food safe. So this is mostly used on cutting boards, but I use it on probably 95% of everything I make, from bowls to boxes to cutting boards, obviously. I use it a lot. I actually make two different products with these same ingredients, and the only difference is the amount of beeswax to put in. To turn this bottle into a wood finish, it really doesn't take that much wax. But I also make what I call a board butter, and it's this stuff right here. And it's one of my better sellers at markets and online. The competition there is typically a hard wax. And the thing that I don't like about that is it's really difficult to spread. Whereas this, it's more like butter. I mean, that's why I call mine board butter. It's literally like spreading butter on wood. So it's much easier to get a good even coating on the surface. It's not difficult to spread. So I like to share all of my tips with you guys that I've discovered. And this is one of my better discoveries. I used to make this in the kitchen in basically like a double boiler, but I use a rice cooker. They're not expensive to buy, even if you want to get one brand new. You could probably find one for $30 or so. But I strongly suggest using a rice cooker. Whether you're doing candles or making this product here, the rice cookers work extremely good. It heats the wax up fairly quick, gives you a container that you can dump from, and it keeps the wax melted, because the way the rice cookers work is once they've cooked the rice, they reduce their heat to keep it warm. It's ideal for making this or candles, because you don't have to worry about having to reheat it if something hardens. So let's just go ahead and plug this in. So I'm just going to cut some chunks of wax. And again, I'll show you how much I use for each. So this is 473 milliliters. For you Americans, it's this much. I don't know off the top of my head. So for each bottle, I'm using about a teaspoon, that much wax. Doesn't have to be exact. If it's not thick enough, then put more wax in. It's that simple. You can make it thicker or thinner. This is thicker than what you would typically buy in the store, because I think that more wax gives you a better finish. That's just my own personal preference. So the stuff in the store, I'm guessing they're probably using about half of what I use for each bottle. It's not an exact formula where it's going to make a huge difference one way or the other. The more wax that's in it, the higher your cost is going to be. But I think the better the product that you're going to get, because again, the wax is what really gives it the protective, shiny surface. It's beeswax. I get it locally here in Spruce Grove. So I'm just going to ballpark it, the amount. So we're going to use about that much for each one of these. So there's that for that. You can see I'm not very scientific with the measurements. So your cost to make 500 milliliters is going to be probably about $5.50 Canadian. So if you're American, it's like $1.50. Joking, but Not really. Well, I guess with the tariffs, I don't know if the board oil is going to be on a tariff, but I'm sure we'll have a 300% tariff on mineral oil. So we got 4, so I only need 4. So, okay, so I'm going to say this much wax is going to make 4 of these. So all we do is we get our fancy rice cooker and we put all of our wax in there. So your first thing you do is you heat up the wax, get it melted so that it's a liquid. So it's as simple as adding these in. It gets a little stringy when you add the oil in, just because it kind of unmelts the wax. So just keep the heat on. I'll wait until that melts again before I add more. For those that have dogs, I'll give you a tip that you'll thank me for later. If they're anything like my dog loves the taste of this stuff. Whenever I'm finishing something or using this, she smells it from across the shop and she's right beside me hoping that I drip some. My dog is not constipated, so I don't want her to eat any of this stuff, obviously. That would be the shit. So now that we've got it melted again, just give it a quick stir. Okay, so the goal with the rice cooker is first we melt the wax in there. Then once the wax is melted, we add the mineral oil into the rice cooker, let it all warm up again to the same temperature, which I can tell when this is done because my rice cooker goes off. This batch is done. It's as simple as that. So now I'm going to pour this off into these bottles. I'm going to try to do this without dumping it all over the place. No guarantees. These rubber funnels that I got on Amazon right here work really, really good. They're easy to clean off once the wax hardens. So two teaspoons of wax, a liter of mineral oil. I put the wax in the rice cooker, melted the wax. When it was melted and liquefied, I just simply dumped in the mineral oil, let that all heat up, give it a couple of stirs, let it sit heated for a while. Make sure you give it a really good stir, and then you're done. It's that simple. That's how easy this product is to make. Once it's done, just pour it back into the bottles, which is what this is here. I can fit a liter in this rice cooker, so I can fit 2 of these in the rice cooker. So the first batch was this regular batch. The second batch, I'm making board butter, which is this stuff. And the thing I like about the board butter, I call it board butter because it's like the consistency of butter. So it's real easy to spread. It's got a higher wax content, so it's going to give you better protection on the wood. So for that, I used a liter of mineral oil and a 1/4 cup of shredded wax. But I just flaked off the wax in the amount of about a 1/4 cup. Same process, put that in the rice cooker, turned it on, melted the wax. Once the wax was melted, added the mineral oil, let it all warm up again, give it a couple of good stirs, and it's done. But once this cools off, it's going to be the consistency of butter. So what you want to do is you want to pour this off into your containers before it cools off, unless you want to scrape butter out and put it in something. If you look at the ingredients of any product you can buy online or in a hardware store, they have the same ingredients. It's mineral oil and beeswax. It's that simple. For the oil that I use in my projects, I just keep them in this little container. I think I got it from a takeout restaurant, Boston Pizza, if I had to guess. And I just cut a little notch in the end of it so I could stick my paintbrush in there. And I've been using this specific container for probably 2 years. And it's dirty and used, but it still works. And it's easy to access. I don't have to worry about washing my brush or throwing it away. I just keep it all in here self-contained. So it works really good. And I keep 2 different brushes in here. I've got a smaller one and a big one, depending on what I'm putting it on. If you want it thicker, just put in more wax. If you want it thinner, less wax. If you want it real thin, don't use any wax, just use a mineral oil. You could do that too. It's not going to give you that wax protection, but it's going to give you the oil that will coat and protect the wood. And it soaks into the wood too, which is nice. Okay, so we're back the next day. Everything is cooled down, obviously. So now I can show you the viscosity and the texture of the oil. I'm hoping you can see what this looks like in here. It's pretty thick. It's, I would say, about twice as thick as the stuff that you'll buy on Amazon. And the texture is probably somewhere between molasses and maple syrup. Thicker than paint, a little bit thicker than like a house paint. So that's what that looks like. And that's, again, with a teaspoon of wax for every 8 ounces or 473 milliliters. This is what you're going to get with that. So the other product that I make, the board butter, which is quite a bit thicker, is this texture right here. So it's more of a solid. And like I say, it's like the texture of grease, soft margarine. It really is a situation where you can't screw it up, because there's some people that just use mineral oil for a finish, and there's some that use just wax on a finish. So when you combine the two, you really can't screw up. You can't have too much of one or the other and have it not work out. It really becomes a preference on what works best for you and what you want. If you want something the similar texture or viscosity to the competing products that are out there, they probably use about half the wax that I do. So this is a teaspoon of wax per 8 ounces. If you use half a teaspoon of wax per 8 ounces, that will give you the consistency of something off the shelf. Now, typical board butter or wood conditioner, you'll also see it advertised as. The typical ratio for that is 4:1, 4 parts mineral oil to 1 part wax. I don't go that high in mind. There's 16 ounces in here right now, and I used about a quarter cup of loosely crumbled wax, not a compacted quarter cup, but rather I just cut and flaked off wax into chunks, and the volume of that was about a quarter cup, to give you an idea. So the typical 4:1 ratio for every 8 ounces of mineral oil, you would use 2 ounces of wax. You can go more, you can go less, but again, this is what I'm comfortable with. A lot of the board oil that you buy on Amazon or at a hardware store, a lot of them will add coconut oil as well, which you can certainly do. I don't, because I just don't see a benefit in it. It'll just jack the cost up. And I don't see the value in adding coconut oil, but if you want to add coconut oil, that's fine. It's important that you don't use an oil that has a high fat content in it, like vegetable oil. The reason for that is the fat, when it oxidizes, it'll turn rancid over time. So if you just leave it in the container for a long time, like I do, where it's not totally sealed, eventually it's going to turn rancid and smell kind of nasty. So that's why it's important to use mineral oil. The other thing that's really important to note is there's different types of mineral oil. There's food grade mineral oil, and there's more of an industrial mineral oil. Don't use the industrial mineral oil, especially if you're using it on a food safe product. It's important that it is the food safe mineral oil, which is why I buy this off the shelf stuff at Walmart. Like I said before, this is pretty much all I use on all of my projects, whether it's a tabletop, coffee table, bowl, box, cutting board, which is pretty much everything that I make. So if you have any questions or comments, leave a comment. I do read every single one, and I will continue to read every single one. If you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate that. Look at that steady hand. Who needs a funnel? I should have been a surgeon. Not a drop. That's raw talent right there. I'm here to tell you.